Welcome to the first course on web designing. The web, or the World Wide Web, is a vast collection of documents, in fact, stored on computers that are connected to each other on the internet. These documents are called web pages or web resources. Now let's see a few examples of popular and well-designed websites from different kinds. Here the first one is from Amazon website. Amazon is the world's biggest retailer of goods and services online. It started with selling books online, and now you can find almost everything or anything on their website, including music, including videos, including gifts and so on. The next site let's look at is from Times of India. As you know, Times of India is a premium newspaper of India, and now you can read on their website national and international news stories 24/7. You can watch live reporting, live videos of breaking stories, etc. Here is the third site. Third site is from Nisbat. Nisbat is a leader in education and training, and you can see on their website it's in English as well as in Hindi language. And here you can find information about all their training programs that they offer, and Nisbat can share with their readers important announcements about their company, what scheduled events they have, and so on, or any changes to the program. The magical part that makes the web so special is that we can move from document to document by simply clicking on some specially labeled words on the document itself. Let's say that an author is writing a document explaining how to connect to the internet. Now he thinks, okay, so he's writing a document how to connect to the internet. Now he thinks some of his readers may not know what is internet, in fact. What is internet? So he doesn't need to write what's internet and distract from his original thought. He knows that someone already has written a document on what is internet. So he searches and finds that document, an existing document, which he thinks is pretty good, which explains what's internet. So he then chooses to mark up the word internet in his document in a special way so that the users, when they click on it, they will be directed to a document with the explanation of the word internet, what is internet, just like we saw here. And after they have gone through and learning what's internet, only if they need to, if they already know, they need not have done this step. They can come back and resume reading the original article on how to connect to the internet. So let's see this again in a different way in action. The same concept, going from web page to web page, document to document through this special markup called links. So here's a website from a company called Entry India. This is their home page, and on their home page you can see these information little boxes about so many things. They have exchange rate of Indian rupee to different currency. They have different events which are happening, which are special interest to the businesses who want to do business with India. They have some videos there they have created telling them about India, and they have some events and other things. So behind each of these little boxes you can find some information, but if you want to know more, then they will have a link for you to connect to click on, and you will be taken to a document that has a lot more details on it. Now let's see this. For example, we clicked on this link which has some information about a company called Bloomberg and what they do and what events they have, and we are taken to their site where you can find more information about it. But the main thing is that this document, new document, doesn't reside on their site, it doesn't reside on their web server, it is somewhere else, maybe on the other side of the world, and yet with a click of a mouse you can actually go to that document. That is what makes the web a web. Okay, now talking about these websites and so on, let's see how these websites are actually designed. How are they implemented? How they do it. So this is the first course on web designing. The goal is to give you fundamentals on how these websites, what's behind them. Like the website that we saw, how are they designed, how are they developed. So as I said before, a website is nothing but a collection of related web pages. So you write a web page and you have some way of going from web page to web page, and information is given on these web pages about any products and services that you are producing. So that's a website, and all web pages are basically written in a special language called hypertext markup language, or HTML for short. HTML, hypertext markup language. You will hear this many times during this course. So we are going to learn how to design web pages using this language, HTML, hypertext markup language. So let's talk about how this course is organized. The course is divided into multiple units and subunits. And in the units and subunit, you may have a text lecture, and optionally you may have a video or a handout that supplement the lecture. Some units have a self-assessment, multiple choice question type of answers, questions and answers, that you can use to check your understanding of the material. Unit 1, let's talk about Unit 1. Unit 1 gives an overview of Internet and World Wide Web, basically more of what we just talked about. What's Internet, what's World Wide Web, what's a web page, what's a website, what's a home page. Home page is a landing page where when you type up the address of the company website, then the first page that you go to is called home page. Home page, what's a web browser. Now you saw how we are navigating from document to document, and a special software that lets you do that is a web browser like Firefox, like Internet Explorer. So what's a web browser, what's a web server, and if there are billions and billions of these web pages all around the world, then how do you find them? So you need a search engine. So it talks about search engine. So there's a video with this lecture which tells you in more graphic details how the World Wide Web works and how you can connect to it. So let's talk about Unit 2. Unit 2 then talks about the language of HTML itself. It shows you how to write your first HTML page and how to display the first HTML page using the browser. Now when you are actually creating the website, then the web server hosts your web pages. If this page that you have created goes on the server, and the server serves it. But in writing HTML pages and testing them and displaying them here for you, you don't need a web server. You just need a browser, and you need a text editor like a Notepad or Notepad++ if you want to become fancy. But do not use Microsoft Word or other word processing software. They put too much formatting. So you need a simple text editor like a Notepad and a browser. That's it. So lecture shows you the structure of HTML page, how to add basic HTML elements to the page such as body, text, colors, lists, images, and so on. So there's corresponding video with this lecture also, which shows the same concept step by step using Notepad++ text editor. And we have a handout if you have a difficulty in following any of this video, which gives you several useful tips, as like for example, how do you open a file in your browser, local file in your browser, how to view the source of any web page. So all these web pages that we saw, websites that we saw, you can see what the structure of the HTML is behind them, and this handout will tell you how to look up the source of any web page. Unit 3. Unit 3 continues with introducing more HTML elements, or HTML tags sometimes called, that make up a website or a web document more functional and more usable. A website may use tables, it may use links, it will use frames. Frames is it divides up the web page into different areas, and in each area a different type of information can go in, like a header, footer, sidebar, article frame, and so on, where all the articles go, or calendar frame where all the events go, and so on. And forms. Forms are the one how the user interacts with the website, where you can get information about the user, or user can enter a request for some more information, and so on. So we'll talk about those. Unit 4 introduces the concept of style sheets. Style sheets and HTML work together. They work together to make web pages look better, look more beautiful, and look more consistent. So one is content, the other is style. And suppose you want to change the style of a whole website, and you have many web pages on your website. If you do not use style sheets, then you will have to make change on every web page if you want to create a different look and feel. Whereas with the help of style sheet, you can make a change in one file, and then the same change will happen to all the web pages that your website has. So it's very useful, very useful. The unit shows how style is applied to different HTML tags or HTML elements, such as how to format a text, how to make a image look better, how to format your paragraphs, how to give them color, how to give them positioning, and so on. It also illustrates many ways in which style sheets can be added to your web pages. For example, you could have it element by element, you could have it only for one HTML page, or you could have in an external file which applies to all the web pages of your website. So Unit 5. Unit 5 talks about adding multimedia objects to your web pages. Multimedia objects are the ones which make web pages more interactive and more compelling and more attractive. Multimedia objects covered here are images, audio, and video. Just like you see YouTube videos and so on. It just shows you how to add your own videos or to bring up videos from sites like YouTube into your website. Unit 6. Unit 6 shows how to create an effective web page layout using HTML and CSS. So far we have talked about HTML basic structure, we have talked about different elements, but we have not talked about how they are put together. So this unit is the one which shows how to create a layout so that all the pages have a consistent look and feel, and editing them and managing these web pages is easier by the authors who don't have to know the details about HTML and other technical things behind the web pages. So inside the layout, you have different areas of reserved for different type of information, and each area could be updated by a different author, if you will. In the video, Mary Winchester does the same thing. She goes step by step into creating a simple and yet effective web page layout. However, she uses many concepts that we will go through this in this lecture, namely a concept of a HTML element called div, how to style it, the concept of ID and class for referring to HTML elements, so that only a special HTML element is affected by your style and not everything, and some other advanced CSS cascade styling sheets so that you can position your element with style and grace and with precision. So this is the background, and then Mary Winchester tells you how to create a effective web page layout. So that brings it all together. Unit 7. Unit 7 presents a overall summary of what we have covered so far in this course. So this is in the presentation format. You can quickly use this to refresh your understanding of the course, and if there is some gap, you can go back and revise that chapter. And the next two units are for self-assessment. One is for HTML and the other is for CSS. These are multiple choice of questions with several possible answers, and you can choose the one that you think is the right answer, and then it grades you, and you can assess how well you did in your understanding of this material, and again choose to revise before you take your exam in the study centers. Finally, we have put together some very good resources that you can use to learn more about HTML, or to be clear more about some of the things that you may have not fully understood in this course. That's the beauty of the web. Almost any information that you want, it's all there. You have to just find it, because somebody has in their whole generosity provided that for you, and you can use it to your advantage. So that also brings us to the point that you don't have to memorize all the rules and the syntax of HTML or Cascade style sheet. You just have to understand the basics. You just have to understand what you want and what you need and how it is done, and then you can look up a particular resource where some example is given, and then you can use that to create your own HTML page effectively. One of the most important website I would like to mention here is from W3 Schools, and W3 is the organization which makes standards for World Wide Web, including HTML, style sheets and other things, multimedia and so on, standards and so on. And this is their website, w3schools.com. And anytime you have any difficulty in this course, or you want to look up the syntax and more details about this particular command, be sure to consult this before using other resources, and that's an excellent resource I highly recommend. So this is a summary. Welcome to the course, and let's get started.